Hi, Data Ben here. Today we're going to look at rich data types in Excel. So what are rich data types? They're types of data that have more than the standard data type. So a standard data type might be a number or a string, some text, while a rich data type has much more information, often information gathered from the internet via an API. Let's see how these work. To begin, we want to find a stock shortcode. So a stock shortcode is an abbreviation of a full company name. So Apple, for example, has AAPL. So let's start with Google. So if we put it in Google, and you'll see there, we've just typed in the text Google here. But if we actually click on stocks, and now you'll see there that it's automatically converted the text Google into Alphabet Inc. With an listed exchange name, XNAS, and then the shortcode, which is Google. So as you may know, Google has now been taken over by its parent company, Alphabet. So even though on the stock exchange, the stock code is still GOOG, the actual company name has been converted to Alphabet Inc. So that's the name of the company, Alphabet Inc. And this XNAS is actually the exchange of where this stock is listed. So the X stands for exchange, and NAS in this case stands for the NASDAQ exchange in New York. And then we have the shortcode for the type of stock. So we have the Google shortcode. Let's add a few more below. Now we've typed in the first one. If we type more text below and try and guess the codes, we might be able to guess what they are. So let's try and put in Disney next, and it's not actually guessed that one. In fact, it's not taken the type at all. But if we copy and paste below and give Google a hint, I give Excel a hint, I should say, we can see there that we've added Disney. So that's been looked up, okay. Underneath we'll try Apple, and now it's worked out that Excel's worked out that we're wanting to add more stock codes. So it's starting to automatically add this rich data type of stocks as we go. Let's look up Tesla next, and that's come up successfully. And finally, let's look at Zoom. And we'll see we've hit a problem here. So when a stock is successfully found, an icon appears next to the company details. But you'll see here with Zoom that we have a question mark. This is because it might be confused between two or more different company names that are very similar. So for Zoom, we have the Zoom Video Communications Company, and we have something called Zoom Technologies. And Excel simply doesn't know which one we want to pick. In this case, we want to pick the popular Zoom option here. So the popular communications technology firm. And then once you've clicked an option, that's then been added. So we have 5 stock options successfully listed here. Going back to the Google option, if you click on the little icon, you'll see lots of information actually appear for Google, so for Alphabet Inc. So you can see things such as the price, the exchange that it's listed, the 52-week high price, the 52-week low price, and lots of different types of data, and even a description for the company itself. So what we want to do is actually try and incorporate some of this data from this pop-up window to Excel itself. So let's look here. You can even see the logo for the companies at the top. So we have the Walt Disney Company, we have Apple with the big Apple logo, we have Tesla, and so on. So sometimes, as you can see here, it's actually taken a minute to load the information. That's because it's gathering this information from the internet, from a site, from an application programming interface, an API, powered by a company called Refinitiv, as you can see at the bottom here. And it can sometimes take a while for this to refresh. So how do we extract this data into our worksheet so it can be usable for us? So I'm going to go to cell B3 here and do equals in the formula bar, and then actually point to the rich data type in A3, and it will actually appear straight away with all of those options that we saw in the pop-up window. And I'm actually wanting to get the price here, and you can see I can select it. So it shows A3.price, and once I press return, it successfully shows the price. And if I double click down on the bottom right of the cell, it goes down to show the prices for the rest of the companies here. Now, the data itself has a bit of a time lag on it, and this can depend on the exchange that it's interrogating, but usually it's around 10 or 15 minutes lag to the real world price information, which for the purposes of Excel is not too bad at all. It's not too bad of a delay. So to actually refresh this data, you want to go to the Data tab, and then you'll see Refresh All. So if you just click Refresh All, you'll see the green icon appears next to the rich data type symbols, and it refreshes the data. And you'll see there our price for Tesla just updated in this case. So now we want to populate the 52-week low, and we'll do that in exactly the same way. So in this time we'll do equals A3 dot, and we can already see 52-week low, return, and double click this down. You'll see that in some cases you may get an error. So Zoom is quite recently listed on the stock exchange, so it doesn't actually have a 52-week low. So we're going to actually wrap this formula in an if error statement, because I'd prefer that this result come through blank than with an error. So it's simply because Zoom isn't old enough to have a 52-week low. So we're going to wrap this in if error, and then comma at the end, and then we just want a blank if there's an error, and then we're going to drag that down as well. So you'll see that we're doing a lot of double clicking down and dragging down, and actually what I want to do now to make this process more efficient is convert this range that we have here into a table, which is going to give us some benefits. So if I actually go to Insert and then Table while I have this data highlighted, my table does have headers, and then click OK. You'll see it does change the format a little bit, and I actually don't want banded rows, but the rest of it looks okay. So what I want to do now is actually change this so it doesn't refer to the specific A3 and the references, but refers to the actual specific value here. So if I now click A3, it comes up with this @ symbol at stockid.price. So I'm going to replace all of the A3s here and A4 with the actual stock ID. So there you see that when I scroll down, the formula stays exactly the same all the way down here. Another benefit is now when I add formulas, they'll actually copy down automatically without me having to drag anything further down. So I'll show in this example we want the 52-week high for Google and for the rest of them, and we can do this in one swoop. So equals, and I'll click the stock I want, and then we want 52-week high, so it shows equals stock ID 52-week high, and then press return, and you'll see again it's automatically dragged all of this down. And again I want to wrap this in an if error for the Zoom result, and that will drag all the way down again. So we mentioned the exchanges at the start of this video, so you can see here that this data comes from the NASDAQ exchange, this one comes from the New York Stock Exchange, and again these two are from the NASDAQ. But this one actually comes from an unusual exchange, XWBO, which, having Googled, is the Vienna, Austria exchange, which isn't actually the correct exchange for this information. So I'm going to try and actually guess what the correct exchange is. So what will be happening here is it will be getting the price from the Vienna exchange at 312 euros rather than dollars, and I'd prefer to have all the information in dollars. So let's see if we convert this to the NASDAQ exchange, whether this price updates successfully, which it does, and it also does actually manage to successfully obtain the 52-week low and the 52-week high from the NASDAQ stock exchange. So you do have to watch out for that. Do be very careful of the exchanges that are coming through here. You want to check that you're getting the correct exchange information. Okay, so I'm going to pretend that I'm a trader who's bought all of these stocks. So I'm going to add a buy price and a number of units that I've bought for each of these stocks. So I'm just going to start to populate these now. So for example, let's say we bought Alphabet at $1,500, and we bought 3 units of this, and I'm now going to manually populate the rest of these. Okay, let's see how much money we've made. So let's do equals, and then we're going to take the price, which remember is today's price, or in fact the last few minutes price, and we're going to minus our buy price, and then we're going to put these two in brackets, and then we're going to multiply by the number of units that we bought. And there you can see the result. So you can see the profit on each line, and we can see that we've made quite a tidy profit from Tesla here at over $3,000. The next thing is that I'm British, so I want to convert this into pounds rather than dollars, and I want to get the exchange rate. So how do I do this? The exchange rate is also a rich data type. So what I can do is put in a short code here for the type of exchange that I want to do. So this is going to be USD, and then you put a / and then to GBP. So as long as you know the code for the currency that you're wanting to convert from and to, you can put this in. So I'm doing from USD to GBP. Of course, nothing happens to begin with, it's just text. But you'll see here, there's a currency option on the rich data types. So if I click currency, it's now going to, you'll see there that the symbol has now appeared. And I'm actually going to double click this one down. It didn't automatically copy down. And you can see that we have the exchange rate for US dollars to UK pounds here. And the price is the exchange rate. So I'm going to get that exchange rate in the next column here. So I'm going to do equals and then exchange rate dot price. And that's the exchange rate as of the last few minutes. So again, if I click refresh, you'll see things update slightly, the price is updated slightly, the exchange rate has updated ever so slightly. And now I want to convert the profit into from US dollars to pounds profit. I simply do equals USD profit multiplied by the exchange rate. And Excel's been clever enough to actually automatically convert this into pounds as well without me having to format anything. So I can actually see the total amount of GBP profit that I have. So this is a great example of rich data types. So rich data types are very powerful, and if you click on the cards, you can see every little bit of information on here. You can actually extract it out. So we've extracted it out straight into the formulas, but if you actually hover over these items, you can actually add them directly by clicking the little icon here. So if I wanted to, for example, see the volume of shares, and I clicked plus, it would add it automatically to the end. And you can just keep going on like that, just adding more and more data from the rich data type. So the price earnings ratio and so on, all the way along until you've really run out of information to put in. And this will all refresh every time you either open the workbook or click on the refresh all icon. You can even actually get the image or the logo for the company as well. That's the stock rich data type in Excel. Next we'll look at geography.